All right, let's talk about Codatta. In 2025, they took on this massive mission to build what they're calling the knowledge layer for AI. So today, we're going to break down their year in review to figure out what that actually means and why it might just change how all of us think about our own expertise. But before we dive into all the Codatta stuff, let's just start with a question for you. Seriously, in this age of AI we're living in, what is your knowledge truly worth? I mean, think about it. All your skills, your lived experience, your data. How is any of that being valued right now? To even begin to answer that, we've got to look at the problem Codatta is trying to solve. They call it the data dilemma. And the core idea is that the way we value data today, well, it's fundamentally broken. Okay, here's the fundamental difference. The old way, the one we're all used to, is pretty simple. Your data gets sold, you get a one-time check, and that's it. Story over. But look at the Codatta model on the right. This is a total shift. Your knowledge isn't just a product you sell once. It's an asset that generates ongoing royalties. It's like the difference between chopping down a tree and selling the wood versus owning the whole orchard and getting paid for the fruit year after year after year. So how in the world do you go from a one-time payment to an ongoing asset? Well, Codatta's answer is what they call a human-centric model, and it's built on 5 core changes to the whole system. And here are those 5 pillars. You see, it starts with royalties, not a one-time fee. Then there's a train now, pay later model. The system is designed around experts, and all the data is rigorously verified. But it's how these first 4 things work together that leads to the real game changer. Number 5, treating data as a compounding asset. That means the more your knowledge gets used and woven into new systems, the more valuable it actually becomes over time. And this entire model, it's all driven by what the founder believes. He said, the focus is on expert data needs and fair rewards for domain knowledge monetization. In other words, this isn't about scraping up massive amounts of random data. It's about finding and fairly rewarding deep, specialized knowledge from real human beings. Okay, so that's the theory. That's the big idea. But what does it actually look like when you put it into practice? Well, at the end of 2025, Codatta's community really showed us how these principles work in the real world. A perfect example was their year-end Your Voice Matters campaign. And listen, this wasn't just some feel-good slogan. It was a real active project to get direct, meaningful feedback from the very people who are building this ecosystem with them. They asked their community a really simple but powerful question: what impressed you most about Codatta in 2025? And this wasn't just fishing for compliments. It was a strategic way to show that user feedback is going to be the absolute foundation of their plan for 2026 and beyond. And that community, it is huge. We are talking about over 1 million verified users. That number is so important because it proves their human-centric model isn't just some small niche idea. It's actually connecting with people on a massive scale. But it's not just about the scale. It's about the quality. To make sure the platform really serves true experts, Codatta went out and did in-depth interviews with some of their top contributors, people like PhDs, researchers, and specialist consultants. So all of this, the community building, the focus on experts, it's all in service of this one huge idea, the knowledge layer. And to help everyone understand what that really means, Codatta shared this pretty fascinating creative experiment. In a series they call AI Tries to Understand, they gave an AI a really complex task. They told it to explore the concept of justice in a world shared by humans and AI. I mean, this is basically a philosophical stress test, right? Designed to see how an AI would even begin to interpret one of our most fundamental human values. So, what was the AI's answer? Well, its vision for justice was surprisingly insightful. And, in a weird way, it brought us right back to the very problem that Codatta is trying to solve in the first place. The AI came back with 3 pillars of justice: transparency, accountability, and equity. Now, just think about that for a second. For a data economy to be fair, for knowledge to be truly valued, doesn't it also need to be transparent, accountable, and equitable? The AI, in its own way, had just defined the exact mission that Codatta is on. And that brings us to the ultimate goal, the knowledge layer. This is the new infrastructure they're building for AI. It's one that makes sure human expertise is fairly valued and properly rewarded. It's the foundation to make sure the AI of the future is built on a bedrock of fairness. So, after a whole year of intense building and listening to their community, what comes next? Let's take a look at the vision for 2026. You see, this year-end review wasn't just about looking backwards. By really listening to their community and reflecting on their progress, they've built up this genuine sense of momentum for what they're going to tackle in 2026. Which leaves all of us with one final, pretty big question. Just forget about any one company or platform for a moment and just ask yourself this. What kind of future could we build if our collective knowledge was truly and fairly valued? That's it for this explainer. Thanks for tuning in.